Hello, how are you? My name's Bettina. Thanks for joining me today. I'd like to chat today about traumatic births, and if you've experienced one, how to heal from it and move past it. So I had someone recently say to me who had a beautiful birth, was very uncomplicated and stress-free really, that it was traumatic even then. And I think that's an interesting perspective because I think it's so removed from our daily lives. It's such an animalistic, really connects you with your inner strength experience that in itself can be scary, that we can't control it. We just have to go with what our body is doing, that it can be traumatic even when it goes well. So for those of us who've had experiences where it hasn't gone so well, I think it's no wonder that we can come out of it feeling traumatized. And I know in many cases we're told after a traumatic birth or after any sort of birth, at least you've got a healthy baby. Mum and bub are fine, that seems to be the only thing that matters. But it's not the only thing that matters, because the way that you birth and how you feel about your birth, more importantly, the way you feel about your birth affects how you feel as a mother. And if you've gone into that intense newborn stage feeling like a failure, then it's going to affect your experience. And I think it's worth talking about births in this way because it matters how you feel. And whether it be that you feel like you failed because you couldn't have a natural birth, whether you feel that maybe you were failed by the system who perhaps pushed you in a direction you didn't want to go, I think it's worth us talking and connecting about traumatic birth experiences, because I think in order to heal from them, we have to start by talking. So we have to share in a safe space what happened, our memory of it, because sometimes it can be a little bit hazy, especially if drugs were used, that you might be feeling a little bit hazy about what happened. So to start your healing process, I suggest finding someone you can talk to about it, whether that be your partner who was there, whether it be a friend of yours who's been through a similar experience, whether it be a midwife or doctor who was present, or maybe someone external. So you can connect with a counsellor who will talk you through the experience and what happened. Just because sometimes I think we need to get clear and get our minds around what actually it is that we feel uncomfortable about before we can start healing from it. So I think in our talking about it, our goal is really to find a place where we can accept it for what it is, where we can either accept that we did everything we could at the time. So if you are to give birth 2 years down the track, you'll probably do it differently because you'll know different things. But at the time, you did what you did based on what you knew, and that is all that's, like, you can't expect anything more. So I think coming to a place where you can accept that, and also coming to a place where you can maybe accept the response you were given from the medical system, if that is an issue. So I know for me, I felt first time around that things were sort of pushed on me that shouldn't have been. And I had to get to a place, and I had to do it before my second birth, I felt, because I didn't want to take that baggage into it, that I had to get to a place where I was okay with what had happened. And part of that for me was going into it second time around feeling empowered to say no to things I didn't want. But it also came down to accepting that those people who supported me during my first birth did their best. And whilst my beliefs don't align with theirs as such, they were acting in the way that they felt was best. So I think a lot of it comes down to accepting the situation, being able to talk it through, and getting to a place where you can move past the anger and the emotions that come up with it. I think you also need to treat yourself quite kindly about it. We can beat ourselves up. In some ways, birth has become a bit of a competitive sport. And this idea that a good birth is a natural drug-free birth, but it's not. A good birth is one where you come out feeling empowered, feeling like that was a great experience for you. So if that means having an epidural so you can be present in that way, go for it. If that means booking in for a cesarean because that's what works for you, then that's your birth. I think being kinder to ourselves and not getting stuck in this comparison trap is a huge part of healing from that trauma. So I think another way we can help heal ourselves is to focus on what did go well. So were there beautiful parts of the experience? Were there connections you had with your partner or other people in the room? Were there amazing emotions that you felt? And by focusing on those good bits, we can start to see that the whole thing wasn't bad, that it wasn't from start to finish this terrible negative experience. There were beautiful parts within it, and we can find that acceptance of the negative parts, because sometimes the positive doesn't actually exist without the negative. And so that can sort of help us come to a bit of an acceptance of, well, I want the good, so in order to have those good bits, I do have to accept the negative as well. So healing from a traumatic birth, we've spoken a lot about the actual emotional and mental healing, but there's also the physical healing. So healing your body, whether you've had a cesarean, so you've got that injury, or whether you've had stitches and you need to heal that part of your body, whether it's a weak pelvic floor. I think we can also heal the emotional wounds by dealing with the physical, and the physical is sometimes the easier place to start because there's like practical steps you can take. So whether that be getting into yoga, seeing a physio, it can really help to start there, and then often that will bring up conversations of the emotional and the mental that will help you heal those as well. We also, if in the journey to heal from a traumatic birth experience, I think we also have to be aware of things like anniversaries. They can sometimes bring up the same emotions. So you might find yourself 1 year after the birth of your baby, you're approaching that first birthday and you should be feeling excited, but maybe you're experiencing some of those same emotions you felt a year ago. And it's just the body remembering and bringing them up again so that you can deal with them, because obviously you haven't processed them to a point yet that you're feeling good. So take those anniversaries as a chance to re-explore, whether it be to journal, talk and connect with someone, so that you can start to process how you feel about it and admit to your partner, I'm feeling like this. It's okay to say, I'm excited about the birthday, but I'm also feeling this. And chances are, if they were there for you during that experience, they probably understand as well, and maybe they're feeling a little bit of it as well. So if you do feel like you need help talking through these emotions, you can work with a counsellor. So I offer some counselling, whether it be face-to-face or over Skype. And I've worked with a number of women now who, in many cases, it's just having someone to talk to. It's just having someone who there's no judgment, being able to talk through the experience. And sometimes we can't see the positive things, but a neutral outsider can see what we can't because we're so wrapped up in the emotion of it. So if you do need help, I encourage you to reach out to someone who can connect with you over these feelings and have an honest conversation with you about it. I hope that's helped you today. If you've had a recent birth experience, go easy on yourself. It's the first weeks and months that can be the most difficult. So I'd love to hear from you if you've had any experience with feeling a bit of post-traumatic stress after a birth, or even just having to process these feelings for yourself and how you got there. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to connect with you soon. Namaste.